in the middle of the 3 weeks. Chazal call it Bnei Mitzorim, Doshna Posuk. And we have to start thinking about Golus and Gula. That's the whole 3 weeks is about it. Golus, Chum Beis Hamikdash, and the Tzipiyah Yehishua. That's what the 3 weeks is all about. So let's try to understand the Tkuf we're living in today. Everything that happens in Golus and Gula, and Bechlal and Klal Yisrael, is all Heinei Divrei Torah Mamish. It's all Divrei Torah. And we're living that Tkufa that we already know from the Chofetz Chaim, that's called Ikvus de Mashiach. It's a Tkufa before Bias Goel Tzedek. That's what Ikvus de Mashiach means. The Eikev, before Mashiach. And what are we witnessing today? The Maral, in many places in Netzach Yisrael, which is the Sefer on Golus and Gula, says that before Bias Goel Tzedek, there be a matzav heder, hey ayin dalit reish, head of emptiness. Bias Goel Tzedek is a haya. It's a new type of beginning of the world. And before that happens, which is the world of today is built on the Western culture, is built on the economy, technology, and democracy. So look at all these 3 points. As far as the technology is concerned, the world can't cope with this problem. With all the technology and everything, all the money that's being put into finding different refuahs, different vaccines, at the moment it still hasn't come through. The economy of the world is becoming bottled. And who knows how it'll be able to come back. That's what the world is built on today, is economy. Another thing is democracy. What's the democracy of America? The democracy of America is that the majority rules. The people have the right with their majority to rule. And the minority has to accept the majority. What's happening in America? What's happening here in Eretz Yisrael? It's looking like a country in Africa that can't have democracy. When you have such great sinner, the different tribes in Africa, they hate each other for thousands of years. They can't overcome it to accept the majority of a rule. Everybody stands with his sinners, with his background of what he hates the other person with. And you can't get together. That's what's happening in America today. A division that wasn't existent in America. That the right and the left are completely divided with a hate of each other. And they can't accept a majority rule. That's the end of democracy. It's even more so than that. When democracy becomes a philosophy that personal freedom is more than everything else, and there's no other thing more important than these type of things of democracy. And you could say that the slavery that was once in America, now you have to be misakinit, and you could steal, you can make riots, you can do anything to get that type of equality again. When equality becomes a principle that's more than everything else, that's when the world can't go on like that. That, I think, we're witnessing what the Maral calls Heder Goyim Havaya. Now, what are we supposed to do in such a situation? We're seeing Heder. What are we supposed to do? The Rambam, the beginning of Hilchos Tainis, the Rambam brings when there's a tzorah. And one of the tzorahs the Rambam brings is a magefa, a plague. And he says that the point of it is to be misoicher, to know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is running the world. And everything he's doing is for a certain reason. What are we witnessing today? There's an epidemic spread all over the world, and we're not doing anything about it. Are we becoming misoicher or not becoming misoicher? Do we try to change ourselves? Do we realize what's happening here? Do we realize we're ending in a tkufa, the head is going to be Goyim Havaya? Are we awakening ourselves, or we're not awakening ourselves? And I think it's even more than that. The Rambam continues. Let's see what the Rambam says. The Rambam beginning of Hilchos Tainis. The Rambam says like this: Mitzvahs esse min ha-Torah, lizoik ulahariya bechatzroitzoitz al kol tzorah shetovi al hatzibur, shenemar al hatzorah eschem, ve'oitzchem bechatzroitzoitz כלומר, כל דבר שיערער לכם כגון בצוירס ודבר וארבע, זוקו עליהם והוריעו. ודבר זה, מדרכי התשובה היא, שבזמן שטוב יצורו ויזעקו עליהו, וידעו, הכל שבכלל מעשיהם הרואים הוא רע להם. ככוסוב אבניסיכם היתרו. זהו שיגרם להוסר הצורם עליהם. So what does the Rambam say? When there's a tzorah of a magefo, what is the thing to do? To know that's Yad Hashem. And the actual thing, knowing it's Yad Hashem, makes it that there could be a Yeshua. And the Rambam continues. Av im lo yiz'aku, v'lo yariu, elo yoimru dover zeh, ki minig ha'olam ira lanu. It's a minig ha'olam. There's a plague, there's a magefo, because that's how it happened. It got out of China and it spread over the world. It's a minig ha'olam. Ira lanu. V'tzorah zu nikres. Nikres. It's a mikro. Harei zeh derech achzor yois, v'goyremes lehem lidobek b'matzeyem maroyim. People continue in their drochim. V'toisev hatzorah acheres hu shekosuv v'toir v'lakti imoy bekeri v'lakti imochem b'chamas keri. Kloimar, k'shov elechem tzorah k'dei shetachshevu im toimru shu keri oisev lem chamas oisoy keri. What does the Rambam say? It's supposed to turn the teichocha. If there is a magefa, and people continue living like they were living before, everything's a mikra. They don't try to change their ways. They don't try to awaken themselves. That's called, they said, keri, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'll bring upon you chamas keri. What's chamas keri? The Targum says, toikev of a keri. Means that Kadosh Baruch Hu is master upon him. Keri means when we disconnect ourselves from the Bnei Shloim, we don't see Yad Hashem, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu disconnects himself from us. That's is noig with us, bekeri. Everything's like a mikra. That's called Hester upon him. And then there's Chamas keri, a toikev of keri, even a stronger Hester upon him. That's what we're witnessing today. Befrat in Eretz Yisrael. At the beginning, there was a certain Yisraelis that became bottle. And now it's from the worst places in the world. What happened? It's chamaskeri. People weren't awakened, and that causes chamaskeri. That's a terrible thing. And what does it mean, his oicher? The Rambam brings in Hilchos Tshuva what his oicher means. The Rambam says like this. Per Gimel Hilchos Tshuva. The Rambam says like this. אף על פי שתקיע שויפה בראש השונה, גזירוס הכוסוף, רמז יש בוי, כלומר, אורו ישנים משינסכם, וקיצו נרדומים מתדמסכם, וחיפשו במעשיכם, וחיזרו בתשובה, וזכרו בירחם, אלו השויקכם אמס, בהבלי הזמן, ושוינים כל שינוסם בהבלו וריק, הלו וריק, שלא יויל לא יצל. הביטו לנפשכם, וטיבו דרככם ומעלליכם, ויעזב כל אחד מכם דרכי הרע, ומחשבתי אשר לא טובה. The Rambam is saying, what does it mean, awaken yourself? It doesn't mean just to change something. It means a basic change. A person's asleep, and he wakes up, everything changes. His mind wasn't clear. He was asleep. His body wasn't functioning. When you awaken, means everything changes. You become a different person. You're awake. That's what this earliest means. It doesn't mean just in the second little thing, a certain chizuk. It means to understand what it means to awaken yourself, to change your life. Understand we're going through a very, very hard period, and we have to do something about it. Of course, there has to be shtadlis, they have to make all the vaccines, if they can make it, everything. But we have to do something. In order to be the Siyata Dishmaya, the Orasponim, that there should be an end to all of this, it has to be our Hisoiris. And if we'll be Misoirer, and we'll try to change ourselves, And we'll realize that's Yad Hashem here. It's not Poshet, it's not Teva here. There wasn't such a thing in 100 years. It never was like in the whole world like this. And how it changed everything. Who knows what if things will come back again? Look what's happening. The yeshivas are on a terrible matziv, but the knessets were closed. It's a terrible thing. And how many people lost their parnosseh? How many people died? How many people are sick? It's terrible. And we're just taking it in stride. Teva. We're not awakening. Hakadosh Baruch Hu is sending us an ois. We have to awaken ourselves. Hakadosh Baruch Hu help us. That we should be misoicher. And we should be zoicher to Yehishua b'korov. And because of this is oiris. And it should change ourselves. And we should awaken ourselves and be able to be copatis in the proper way. And be zoicher to the Sata Dishmaya. And the Yehishua b'korov. And Afuah Shlema to all the cholim. And people should have parnosseh. And Torah should be strong in Klal Yisrael again. Kol Tuv. Everything should be batzloche. Kol Tuv.